Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 6 of 30 days of real estate content. My name is John Olisam, the CEO of Red Diamond Properties Limited. And I believe over the last 5 days, you've gotten so much value from me on what I've been sharing generally on general real estate. I've spoken also on property brokerage and how to start. I've also spoken on short-let business. Today, I'm going to be going to a third one, which is yearly residential rentals. Now, this is the most common form of real estate in Nigeria. About 80% of Nigerians live in rented apartments, yearly residential rental apartments, and it's one of the most common. Partly due to the fact that we have in Nigeria about a 28 million housing unit deficit. So what that means is that if a developer builds 27 million properties, it still cannot totally solve the housing deficit we have. So that's why we have quite a number of rentals. A yearly residential is simple. You build or buy an apartment and you rent it out to yearly tenants who pay you rent on a yearly basis. That is what it simply means, and is the most common one. Today, you are either living in your own house or in a rented apartment. And the research by Pearson Housing showed, a report by Pearson Housing showed that 80% of Nigerians live in rental apartments. So if you're about 220 million in Nigeria, that's about almost 200 million that live, or 176 million, 180 million that live in rental apartments. So it's something that if you do, you're going to get people who will stay in your apartment. Yearly residential rentals, it's the most common. So I want to go straight into how to start. How do you start? What are the factors to consider? What are the things to do if you want to start up a yearly residential? I noted about 6 of them. And I said the first one is buy or build in a good location. Buy or build in a good location. Location and real estate they go hand in hand. To a very great extent, the success of any real estate transaction is closely tied to its location. So the better location you have, the higher the chances of your success, because location is everything. So let me give you a practical example of how location plays out in Abuja using a 2-bedroom. A 2-bedroom in a place like Kubwa in Abuja ranges from about 1 million to about 2.5 million. I'm talking now from the lowest place to the highest place. Because in Kubwa, we still have the highbrow area of Kubwa, where we call like the FO1. That's like the most expensive part of rentals in Kubwa. But that is between a 1.5 million to 2.53 million in Kubwa. When we go to a Gwarimpa, a 2-bedroom, and Gwarimpa is closer to town. So I'm talking now about location. I'm talking about from the heart of town. In Abuja, the heart of town is called the Central Business District. And it is surrounded by places like Asokoro, Guzape, Maitama, Central Business District, Wuse. Then we have the Gwarimpa, Jai, Katampe next. Then we have the Kubwa, Kagini next. Then going back further, we have the Day, then we have Zuba. So I'm starting from Kubwa. Kubwa, I said 2-bedroom, you can get between 1 million to 2.5. Then when you move forward closer to town, remember I'm talking about location. 2-bedroom in a place like a Dawaki, Gwarimpa ranges from about 3M to 4M, 5M. You can see it's closer to town. And then in the town itself, talking about a Wusetu, talking about a Mabushi, talking about a Maitama, it ranges from between 5 to 7 to 8 million. So you see how important location is. Same 2-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom flat, but different location command different rent. So location is very key. Location is very key. Then if you now want to go further down to maybe a day Zuba, you can get a 2-bedroom for less than 1 million. So location plays a very important role in your yearly residential rental. So when you are deciding to go into this business, choose a good location. The closer the location is to town, the better. And it could vary in different states, because many times, why is location important? People want places that are close to their workplace, right? The closer it is to workplace, the better it is for people. Even in a place like Lagos, where is it that you have the highest rent? Generally, you have it in places like the Victoria Island, have it in places like Ikoyi, have it in places like Lekki Phase 1. The more you go further in the Lekki axis to the Ajah, to the Mekpe, it gets lower. So the heart of business, where business is basically the business hub of any state, determines how high rent will be. And if you do your residential property, yearly residential property in that place, it will command higher rent. In a place like Lagos too, Lagos has more than one major commercial hub. You also have the commercial hub of the Ikeja axis. There's high rent there. So whatever state you are choosing to do your investment, or whatever state your resident is, you're resident in, look for the central business hub if possible. Get a property there, buy or build. There's a higher likelihood that it will command higher rent than if you take it further. It's not as though if you take it further, you will not still get your rent, right? But if you take it closer to town, the higher your rent will be. The higher the rent you can charge. So good location is the first factor you should take into consideration. And the next one I said is provide good facilities within your property. Provide good facilities within your property. In the same location, two similar properties can command different rent. So let me use Gwarinpa for example, that I said rent is between 3 to 4 to 5 M. In Gwarinpa, a 2-bedroom can be 3 M, while in the same Gwarinpa, a 2-bedroom can be 4 M. What can be the difference? Facilities. I keep sharing a story about a client of mine who I bought property for. In the estate he bought, they have good facilities. Tarred roads, security guard, they are building a shopping mall, they are building a hospital there, they will build a school there, but the place is already 99% or 90% occupied. It has 802 units of houses in that place, fully occupied. So why regular rent for a 2-bedroom in Gwarinpa is about 3 M? Because this estate has better facilities, security guards, a shopping mall coming up, hospital coming up, and school coming up. This makes rent to be higher. So rent for a 2-bedroom there goes between 4 million to 5 million. A property also that I took a client for inspection today, it's a block of flats. It's a mixed use, residential and commercial. The going rate for rent there for a 2-bedroom is between 5 to 7 million, and it's in Mabushi, and it will be quite higher than others in Mabushi. Why? Because that place has some better facilities. It has a swimming pool. So you see, if you're building for residential purposes to rent, there are some things you can put in your property that will increase its value, make you charge a premium fee that will command a higher value than similar properties in the same location. Yes, it will command a higher value than similar properties in the same location. So when you are doing yearly residential rental, if you're going into that, another factor you should consider is this: provide good facilities within the location. It will increase the value. The third thing I want to talk about when you're starting a business is what I call screening tenants. It's very important, screening tenants, because most importantly, you want tenants that will be cooperative. You want tenants that will pay rent as and when due. You want tenants that will not give you trouble. So it's very important that you screen tenants. When you screen tenants, you are looking one first as their financial capability. Do they have the ability to pay the rent subsequently? One of the things I do in real estate is property management. And one of the properties I manage, before I got the tenant, I screened them. As for their statement of account, I wanted to know their monthly revenue, their monthly income, their monthly salary. With that way, you can determine if a prospective tenant's 3 to 4 month salary cannot pay the rent, there's a high likelihood that they will default if they get the apartment, and you might choose to not give them. Because you need to know that once a tenant gets into a property, they are there. Evicting them is not easy. The court process is quite long, right? So you want a tenant who will be able to pay rent as at when due. A tenant who has the financial capability. So you need to screen the tenants, know their financial capability. Give them a questionnaire, let them answer questions, make them know that it's based on those questions you will make your decisions. Still in screening tenants, get them to get guarantors. Yes, you want guarantors for them that will be able to stand in their stead to pay their rent if they default. You don't want people that will give you trouble. You also want to get a past criminal record. Yes, you can tell them to bring police clearance certificate. A police clearance certificate is simply a certificate that tells the criminal record of a person if they have a criminal record. So these are the things you want to be able to screen your tenants. You want to be able to screen them. You don't want tenants that will give you trouble. You don't want tenants that will give you challenges. That is the third thing you should do. The fourth thing you should do is be aware of tenancy laws. Tenancies do not just exist in a vacuum. Nigeria has laws that regulate landlord and tenant relationship. So for instance, in Abuja, we have the Recovery of Premises Act. It regulates tenancy, landlord and tenant relationship. It regulates the notice that a landlord can give a tenant on eviction. So generally, the notice is that if the person is a yearly tenant, before you can evict the tenant, you must give him 6 months notice. If it's anything less than 6 months, that quit notice is void. If the tenant is a quarterly tenant, stays for 1 quarter, you must give the tenant at least 3 months notice. So these are important notices you need to know, right? That's in Abuja. We have the Recovery of Premises Act. In Lagos, we have the Lagos Tenancy Bill 2011. I know, no, Lagos Tenancy Bill, yes, 2011. I know there's a bill still undergoing legislative process, the Lagos Tenancy Bill 2025. I'm not sure it has been passed, but that is a very detailed law in Lagos that will regulate tenancy and landlord and tenant relationship. So it's very important that you understand the laws, because the law talks about notice. The law talks about the importance of agreement. The law talks about how you can review your rent. The law prescribes arbitrary increase of rent. So you want to be aware of the tenancy laws before you go into yearly residential rental. Then number 5 is, if you want to succeed in this business, you've started it, you must also know that you need to review rent occasionally. You see, one thing I love about real estate is that real estate grows with inflation. You agree with me? You will never see, or you will rarely see, a property or a rental property where the rent was maybe a 2 million this year. Then after 2-3 years, the landlord says, "Oh, I like you, my tenant, you've been good." And the landlord reduces it to 1.5. No, it doesn't happen. Rent always remains the same or increases. So as a landlord, in line with the economic situation, you might want to review your rent, maybe every 3 years, every 4 years, every 5 years, so that it is reflective of the inflation, and which is to your benefit, because real estate grows with inflation. But you also need to know that you cannot just review your rent arbitrarily. We hear of situations where landlord just increase rent 100%. It should not be. As at the 2011 Lagos Tenancy Bill, a landlord cannot increase rent by more than 10%, and it must be gotten with the consent of the tenant. There must be an consensus at the end they must meet. But it's just that many tenants do not just know this, and the landlord will just come and slam it on them. So for me, I love where every relationship benefits the both. Yes, the landlord wants to make money, the tenant needs a place to stay, but you as a landlord, you cannot just arbitrarily increase rent. The law provides what you can increase and how to do it. So that is the 5th thing. Review rent occasionally, and there are cases on that. In my book, How to Make Money in Real Estate in Nigeria, which is available on Seller, I stated some cases there, so you can get the book on Seller. And the last but not the least thing to do when you're starting up a yearly residential is to get a property manager. In one of the subsequent Facebook Lives, I'm going to talk about property management as a whole. But let me just tell you a bit about what a property manager does. As the name implies, A property manager manages the property. The property manager is the one who will help you screen tenants. A property manager is the one who will help you maintain your relationship with tenants. Property manager is the one who will issue notices, not necessarily notices to quit, notice to inspect. Like you want to come and check the property, give the notice. The property manager is the one who will issue notices to quit. One of the things I do is property management. At the moment, I manage about 4 properties here in Abuja, and I take up the stress of the landlord. So I'm the one who relates with the clients, with the tenants, have a good relationship with them. But I'll still talk more about that. But you want to have a property manager who will have a good rapport with your tenants, so that they do not have issues when rent renewal comes. One of the properties I manage, the tenant puts to bed sometime last year, and I went, saw her, gave her baby diaper, wipes, bought her wine. The other tenant who got them wine, because I want to have a good relationship with them. I don't want, when it's time for rent renewal, we have issues. So you want to get a property manager, because a property manager is one who knows the sector very well, who is aware of the laws, who knows how to relate with tenants, who knows how to screen tenants. And you just pay the property manager a 10% of the rental amount, and it saves you that straight. So these are the 6 things you need to do if you want to start up a yearly residential rental. Number 1, build or in a good location or buy in a good location. Number 2, provide good facilities. Number 3, screen your tenants. Number 4, be aware of the tenancy laws. Number 5, review rent occasionally. And number 6, if need be, get a property manager. My name is John Olisa, and I'm the CEO of Red Diamond Properties Limited. We are a property development company. Recently, we launched our first estate here in Abuja. It's in Kuchiako Extension, Kuje Genesis Court. And with 1.5 million, you can get a 200 square meter plot where you can build a 3-bedroom terrace duplex. With a 300 square meter going for 2.2 million, you can build a 4-bedroom semi-detached duplex. While with a 400 square meters land going for 3 million, you can build a 5-bedroom fully detached duplex. And last but not least, with a 1,000 square meter land, you can build 6 units of 1, 2, 3 bedroom, 2 units each, and it goes for 7 million. So if you want to buy your first land here in Abuja, you can reach out to me on +234 813 799 0792. I go again, +234 813 799 0792. We can also help you to manage your properties here in Abuja. Everything I've shared with you, you want to start up as a yearly residential rental investor, and you need somebody to help you choose the location, screen tenants, advise you, and you need a property manager. Part of what we do in Red Diamond Properties Limited is property management. So you can reach out to us on the same number, +234 813 799 0792. Thank you so very much for joining me in today's live. My name is John Olisa, and I will add value to you if you follow me. I know so much about this real estate sector, and I've said this over the last 6 days that the first rule of investment is this, by my mentor, Dr. Stephen Akinta, and I really like it. He says, before you invest money in any business, first invest money in acquiring knowledge about the business. And that's what I'm doing for you, giving you free value. I'm not even charging you, because knowledge is the basis for success in anything you're doing. The more you know about something, the higher the likelihood that you succeed. And the less you know about something, the higher the likelihood of you not succeeding. So please pursue knowledge. Reach out to me. I'm ready for your calls. +234 813 799 0792. You can also send us an email on to our email address, reddiamondproperties10@gmail.com. For those of you who can't watch live here, I'm going to be uploading it to my YouTube channel, John Olisa. You can watch it and enjoy, comment, like, share. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening, Saturday, 28th of February, 2026. Have a wonderful weekend and happy new month in advance. Thank you.